like that. I actually think it's a good segue into Helena's comment in the chat. Do you support expanding the Supreme Court? And she says specifically to 13 districts. And
yep. So I've seen that proposal, and I think I kind of alluded to this at the beginning, where we're talking about structural reform across these institutions, right? What we don't want to create is almost like an arms race around just the redistricting and adding justices, taking away justices, right? That isn't productive policy. Going to the 13 does make sense because it is aligned with the different circuit courts, and from a productivity standpoint, there is a logic to that I think we could get behind. Before we get to that point, though, what we absolutely must do is ethics reform in the Supreme Court. And that's probably the short-term one. If we've got to be able to go and have a enforceable, measurable, and transparent ethics bill that holds the Supreme Court accountable, because it doesn't exist. The Supreme Court said, well, we'll do it ourselves. We'll self-police. Well, that doesn't work, and that's not what Congress is. Congress is check. Congress can impeach Supreme Court justices too when they are in violation of their oath. And so we have to remember that Congress does have that oversight authority over the courts.
They sure
to be able to
do.
come back and say, hey, if you are not operating consistent with the law, and you are not living up to your oath. So yes, I've seen some of these proposals. I'm interested in it, but the short-term fix is we've got to get ethics reform in the Supreme Court, and we've got to have Congress willing to hold justices accountable when they are clearly making decisions that are not consistent with the law, right? And I cannot fathom the fact that when we look at these right now, the conservative justices they're always talking about, we're textualists. Well, no, you're not. The text says that you're not supposed to do that.
Yes.
You don't let text us when you want it to be.
Unless the text is the Powell memo from 1971, then yeah, I would agree with you. Then you are a textualist, right? And that you're going by the text. But a friend of ours, a creator that is usually in here, but he went to bed early tonight, Terry, he usually asks, would you be willing to look at the proposal of expanding the court to 13 justices, one for each district or circuit court?
Yeah. I would be interested in looking at that.
Yeah.
There's a lot to it. But I think that's if anything, that is the way to make reform without having to go with this constant back.
Yeah, it's not arbitrary. There's right. There is a set amount and it's reasonable, right? If you should have one justice from each district, right? From each circuit to represent that circuit in making the decisions, right? I feel like it's very much more in line with our republic, our democracy, and the way that we do things. And I mean, it's not like it would be the first time. We used to have 5 justices, and then it got expanded to 9. So it's not like a thing that's never been done before. It wouldn't be new, right? And you're right. Congress can pretty much remake the entire federal court system if it wanted to. That's how much power it has.
And like I said, and using that power responsibly to make sure that the courts, that the executive branch is doing its job and living up to the, like I said, the responsibilities that the Constitution clearly lays out.